A trailer for the new Superman movie just released and everyone seems to be loving it. You can feel the hype all over the internet right now. And while the trailer did not show a ton, it did show us what I believe what will make or break this movie. And that is who Superman is as a character and of course the overall tone of the movie. Now of course some of y'all are probably going like, no duh, Superman is going to make or break this movie. He's the main character. And slow your roll, pal. I don't really mean it in like the literal sense, of course. This movie was announced back in 2022 by James Gunn, and this was fresh around the time when the whole Superman is boring agenda was at an all-time high. And alongside how complicated the Cavill Superman era was getting with his appearance in Black Adam to then saying he's back to then not being back did not help people's perception on Superman. So when Gunn announced that there'd be a new Superman movie being made and that he'd be making it, there were of course a lot of people excited, but also some were rightfully skeptical as the Superman brand has been on a bit of a decline lately. This movie also has added the pressure of getting people invested in another cinematic universe, and it also has to show us that we can trust James Gunn to be the head of DC Studios. With everything that's now riding on this movie's success, I believe it is going to be one of the most important comic book movies to ever release. Now, I opened up this video saying that the portrayal of David Cornswell's Superman and how they're going to characterize him in this movie is going to, be the most important factor. And while it may seem obvious that no duh, bro, he's Superman, of course it's going to matter, Superman movie, nigga, what are you talking about? I think the sheer magnitude of just how important it is shouldn't be taken lightly. Considering the last time we actually had Superman on the big screen, not counting the Black Adam cameo, I'm not counting that, it all left audiences pretty split and kind of changed how people viewed the character of Superman in a pretty wrong way. Now, I don't want people to think that I think Snyder is like some evil nigga or something, like he ruined DC. No, I actually really enjoy his DC movies. I loved Man of Steel. I really liked Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I did think BVS could have been a little better though. But I also adore what he did in Man of Steel with the action. I mean, that shit is peak, bro. Like, them action scenes, boy, Gunn, you gotta come with the shit if you want to top that. I just think where he excelled when it comes to just the visuals and the action, I just think the writing is kind of what was the problem and how he took the whole approach with the whole God amongst men thing with Superman. Superman's whole appeal is that he's a symbol of hope for people. He's an alien kid who was raised on Earth and sees himself as, well, human. And Snyder did capture that aspect a few times in his movie, but it never felt like the complete focus of his character. And this started to do more damage than good. I think Cavill did a pretty good job with what he was given as Superman, especially when he was allowed to play that symbol of hope Superman in Man of Steel and bits of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, of course, Snyder isn't the only issue, as we've had so many iterations of an evil Superman in the past years from both DC and non-DC properties that it's all just been muddying up the Superman brand. Part of the reason why I've been hyped about this movie is because it seems like Gunn understands how the general audience sees Superman now, and I can see how it is important to him that he gets it back on track. So much of this new Superman movie is taking inspiration from media that all show Superman's more human side, like the All-Star Superman comic, the animated series, and the older Christopher Reeve Superman movies, as they're using the theme again, which I mean, like, the theme's a banger, but Gunn, I hope you plan on giving my boy his own theme now. With so many dark and gritty Superman stories recently, Gunn is emphasizing a sort of return to form, and it shows in the trailer, where we see a kid hold up a Superman flag and call for him. We see Superman save a girl from a kaiju attack in a beautiful shot in the trailer. And we even see Superman mourn over a robot, showing that this Superman cares for all life, even machine. Plus, with people chanting Superman behind the trailer's score, it's all just I think the brother understands it.
I understand it now.
There's so much color here as well, and most importantly, hope oozing all over this trailer. And that will hopefully all be injected into the actual movie as well. I believe this movie can help remind people of who Superman really is. They're doing everything they can by adding Krypto to Superdog, and like I said, reusing some of that John Williams Superman score to basically all tell us the angle they're going for here. People have been calling Superman boring just because he's a strong dude, and since he's so strong, it makes things boring. I think this movie will finally show that even though Superman is strong, it's not what makes up his whole character. And that those who think that he's boring have just been watching these adaptations with their eyes closed. A focus on Superman's ultra ego Clark Kent and members of the Daily Planet like Perry White, like Cat Grant, and of course Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. Even with things like giving him the iconic trunks on his suit, which I also love that these trunks were suggested by Cornsweet himself, as he wanted them on the suit because he said Superman wants kids to not be afraid of him. And I really love when actors in these movies showcase their love for the character they're portraying. David Cornsweet is already showing some real vulnerability vulnerability and humanity in these trailers. And it's just all what we want to see from Superman. Everyone involved seems to understand that for this movie to be successful, they have to get Superman right. And so far, I think they will. This movie isn't just going to be important to the Superman brand though, but also the comic book movie genre. The genre has recently been on a decline with the wave of disappointing comic book movies, from those awful Sonyverse movies and the MCU dropping some duds the past few years, while also making some questionable decisions for their future. People have been saying that audiences are finally experiencing a superhero fatigue, they say, but honestly, I don't think that's true. I'm not a strong believer in superhero fatigue. I just think people want good superhero movies. You didn't hear anyone saying superhero fatigue when Deadpool 3 came out. Why? Because that was a good fucking movie. People want these movies to feel unique again, to feel like there's passion being put into them, to just be worth watching again. With Superman coming along, and if it is successful, we can see a new wave of comic book movies arise. If Superman does well both financially and critically, it could spark a big surge of interest back into the genre. And we're seeing just how hype everyone is for this movie, like hype that hasn't been felt since the Batman and No Way Home came out. It shows that people do still care about comic book movies and that they'll be excited for them if you give them a reason to be interested. One way to get people interested is when you do something new and unique. The Batman, for example, is a comic book movie like no other, in both how it's shot and how it tackled the character. The Batman just has a certain aura to it that allows so many people to gravitate to it and sing its praises. And Superman seems to be building a style of its own. Now, of course, it's a James Gunn movie, and people obviously love his style of movies, as he hasn't made a bad comic book movie yet. But Superman does feel a bit different, with things like Gunn's usual jokes being nowhere to be seen in the trailer, unless you count Riley from Die with Wimpy Kid over here. Gunn's flair is here in some capacity, but this time is made to fit a Superman movie. The color grading, while not being liked by some, I think is definitely intentional for style purpose. The way the action is shot with some shaky cam and some slow-mo, and even some pullback, is all stuff I think will do wonders for this movie. It was reported that this movie took inspiration from Top Gun Maverick for the action, so you can see just how much passion they're putting into this movie, and it's gonna help Superman stand out and feel different than the rest of these comic book movies. Because a character like Superman, a character as important as him, needs to stand out. It needs to feel different. Now, high box office numbers and ratings aren't the only thing this movie has to achieve, because it also has to make us interested in this new DC universe. We do see that other heroes already exist in this universe, as a few appear in the trailer, like Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Metamorpho. And honestly, I'm really on the fence about what they're doing with these heroes and how they're going to be included here. From what I heard about their roles in the film, I don't really like having corporate superheroes here basically to serve as comparison to Superman and how Superman gets things done. I feel like it's just doing a bit too much for me. However, Gunn has said that they aren't here to set up their own solo movies or anything like that, and I get that that is the truth, as they didn't get much focus in the trailer. Most of it was used to show off Superman and showcase the hopeful tone of the movie. Superman is arguably the most popular superhero of all time. Everyone knows Superman, and that's where the pressure is coming in. He's one of the most important superheroes as well. And now that he's back on the big screen after so long, people have these high expectations. I've seen people who haven't watched a superhero movie in years say that they're gonna go watch this. So you know the hype is strong. Like I said, you can feel it in the air if you go out and sniff. If the movie ends up doing a lot wrong, it can not only hurt DC Studios, of course, but plunge Superman even further down the rank. And it's bad enough that DC's film track record has been very shaky. I mean, the DCEU soiled so many people's thoughts about DC, especially since they had to compete with the MCU, and at the time they were at their peak. So they literally cannot afford another flop.
I can't eat! I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke! And you got the power to change that, Kev!
Like, literally, WB cannot afford another flop. But from what we've seen so far, I believe they have the chance with Superman to finally flip the switch again, and I'm just overall very excited for this movie. I feel like this movie just has the potential to do something really special. Special in the way that the Raimi movies display a message of making the right choice and upholding our responsibilities. Special in the way of how the Batman showed how vengeance can't change the past, and how it is hope that is needed. Superman, with its central message of hope, can show us to always hold on to hope, that no matter how tough things get in our world, we always have the chance to stay kind and always have to hope for a better tomorrow. Now, before some big announcements in the teaser trailer, I have my doubts about if James Gunn could deliver something like this. As I said, his comic book movies are all great. He just hasn't tackled something like Superman. But after watching the trailer, I'm betting my whole house on Superman being a banger. Fantastic Four, Captain America, all them MCU movies, we coming for the crown next year. Nah, I'm gonna chill out. I'm not trying to start like no MCU versus DCU war, of course. You know, we all gonna eat. You know, as fans, competition is good. We all gonna eat. Trust me. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. This has primarily been a Ben 10 channel, but I couldn't resist not talking about this movie. So if you like these little non-Ben 10 videos where I talk about other things that I'm interested in, let me know in the comments below if you like it. And while you're down there, let me know if you're excited about the new Superman movie and what you thought about the trailer. Because me, I'm on my 16 watch of this bitch. This motherfucker fire. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new. And until next time, it's been your boy, Dan, the Boy Wonder, signing out. Peace.